let's give them an action item. Let's give them something tangible, right? And so you said it in your commentary, but having the correct documentation, eliminating
Absolutely.
mathematical errors as possible when you have documentation. But most importantly, especially for business owners,
Yes.
is the number one thing that we always run into 90% of the time. And I think small business owners, solopreneurs think that they, I manage it this way, or I have this information. This should be good enough. Get an accounting software. You don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to be an expert. Get an accounting software because it gives you different photographic lenses so you can see different things financially in your business, which helps you to validate your business. Are you really generating the revenue needed? Is it a viable business? How can you pivot based off of the type of revenue streams that you have coming in, right? And then you can work to leverage any unnecessary expenses or cut down on those expenses. So these are things that, it's a learned behavior, but it also helps to align to bring you back in focus. Now, that's not to say you're not going to run into any tax problems. Because if you're not running into tax problems, you're not really doing business, right? But as Nicole stated, have it under control, understand, what you're working with, ask questions of the professionals that you're dealing with, and then realize that you have to move forward to take action on getting ahead of it or circling back and dealing with whatever options that are out there for you to rectify it. Trust me, I know, right? So, so just a little caveat of having a tangible system in place, and accounting software is highly recommended. Not necessarily not a big state.
Right.
We see a lot of those, right? Not a spreadsheet. Then we have these third-party applications, right? Where like the Square or whatever. You can. That's good for categorization. It's good for when you run that report for revenue, but it's got to tie back into your accounting system so you can take a look, or you can have an idea of what your P&L is, what your balance sheet, what your cash flow is. Because revenue generated and cash flow is two different things.
Right. And if I could just interject too, Kory, a great point you brought about information. This is a great time. It's pretty much the 10th of February, kicking off right into the tax season. And we know people definitely early filers getting that information. I would say make sure you take the time to make sure as you're looking through your records, your tax paperwork, that you have all the documents that you need to report, and make sure you have received them. If you know that your W-2 from your employer, if you were doing contract work, make sure you receive your 1099 NECs. If you know that you have been running business possibly through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and all of that, make sure that you have all that accountable as well. Just like Kory said, and also making sure you do take advantage of the online tax accounting software out there. It's very beneficial to you. Whatever's going to make your job easier is what you want to make sure that you're doing. Tapping on the individuals, just making sure that you are reporting all the information you have to the table. Because we do have a lot of people who are definitely investing with their stocks, and you're doing a lot of movement, especially people who have rental property. Making sure you have all of that information as well, and making sure that if you report anything from charitable contributions to whatever, making sure you have your current accurate documentations. I will also add that sometimes what I had seen last year was there were some W-2s that possibly was being corrected by the employer. So just make sure that you're able to, you have the most current of your information. I would say I know you're able to probably get a soft copy electronically from them. I would say to go back and check that. My reasons for saying it for these W-2s, 1099s, and 1098s and all of this, as far as your mortgage interest and so forth and so on, is because those documents are filed electronically and information is reported directly to the IRS. So if there are any changes or correction, then keep in mind that if you have filed your tax return and then all of a sudden you receive an updated tax form for that same year, then there needs to be an amended tax return that needs to be filed to account for that information that has now changed. Okay, because what will happen at that point is, let's say you received a W-2 and it was corrected, or any one of those forms, the IRS is going to go out the most recent information that they have received and the corrected information. So you may receive, and this is what brings a lot of anxiety to Kory, a notice in the mail from the IRS. Yeah, exactly. So it becomes, if no one wants to receive those, I say to you that look up the code. There's at the top right, it has a notice number. It's a CP something. And when they're getting in contact with you on that, 9 times out of 10, is maybe some missing information. They're going through doing an assessment on their end of what they're saying should have been reported. It's going to have several pages on there that you're able to look through to actually see the forms, that the information that you filed, and it's also going to have the information they've received in the IRS from what forms they're looking for. Don't panic. I say to people, if you have a question about it, you can contact us on that. First contact the IRS. You can contact them on the call. I know people say it's hard to get through to them. They have definitely up their staffing.
Yeah.
I have actually experienced that myself in calling in. I can tell you right now, it may take about 30 minutes to an hour. I always tell people, put it on speaker and stay on that line. I know that they will tell you, oh, give us the number, they'll call you back. I haven't experienced the call back. I won't say that they won't call you back, but just know that you have to be a lot diligent and have to call back in, and you will have to wait. But I may not have to wait as long because they have received the funding to they're trying to improve their customer service. But do know it, as if you receive a notice, make sure you pay attention to those notices. Because when you receive one, they're going to give you about 30 days to respond back, or they're going to have a date up there where they want to hear back from you. And do know that if you need more time to get that information, make sure you be in contact with them. When you call in, they're going to give their agent number. Write the agent number down, the date down. When you're speaking with them, make sure they documenting these things on your records so that it's already there. So then they can say, okay, this person needs to have an additional 30 days. So this doesn't go into something talking about another notice, and then the next thing you know, it's added on some other headaches that you just don't want to deal with. So I would have to say, to avoid anxiety, don't ignore any notifications you receive from the state or from the IRS. But just make sure, though, do keep in mind, make sure you have all your documents, because one thing we run into is people are so ready to get through it and complete the tax organizer and just give us the information. And then we find that it's not all the information because they're trying to get the tax professional to start preparing the return and then be able to tell them something. We can't effectively or professionally give you any information until we have all of your tax information, until we have all your tax, records. So just keep that in mind, because if you leave off any information, the IRS is going to say, you missed this document. You don't want that. Any errors, any omissions would delay the processing of your tax return. If you're expecting a refund back, it would delay your tax return.
Let's put a pin right there. Let's put a pin right there. Let's put a pin right there, because I want to circle back to what you just said, because you said something that's super important, that's standard, that's across the industry, but we handle it very differently for the reasons that you just noted, right? But really quick, we're gonna have to no, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. we gotta pay a bill, right? So we gotta talk about our sponsor. One of our sponsors here today is BYOB. Be Your Own Bookkeeper, brought to you as a subsidiary program here at Heyward CPA. We utilize an accounting software to get you set up, to get you onboarded and implemented, connecting all of the technologies that you use back to your accounting software. We provide training, we provide support, and you can do it. You can be your own bookkeeper with the support of our Heyward CPA support team and training team, accounting team. Thank you. Now back to the regular scheduled program. Now, I wanted to bring up a point that you brought up, tax organizer, right? So we use technology is a good thing, and this is This is why we use technology.
Yeah.
So we have a process when you come on as a client that you get an email with a tax organizer, and it's set up specifically to walk you through the pieces of information that we need to extract from you in order to provide a accurate tax return prior to filing. And in that tax organizer, there's questions, there's scenarios, there's opportunities for you to check a box, yes or no, check an option, whatever that option is, and or put in any comments and reach out for help. The reason for this is, and I think most people don't realize, they think that, hey, I have my tax documents, I'm going to send it to you. Can you get it done for me within whatever type of period? And along with the anxiety of what we were just talking about, there's the anxiety of them not having the patience to allow the tax professionals to do what they need to do, right? And so this is another key importance to why we do what we do here at the firm and how we help our clients to actually get themselves a foundation set. Because most times people that come to us that are a little off the soft ground under their feet, if you work with us through the process, you'll have a foundation, a solid foundation, so you can carry forward, right? So to the point that Nicole was saying, tax organizer, collecting the right information. Because if we don't have the accurate information, if there's mathematical errors, if something is missing, if there's any errors or omissions, that's going to be a stop, right? So we're intangibly saying these things, but it turns into a tangible situation that can be a problem. And so that's why I kind of wanted to go back and reset the table for our listeners, Nicole, so they can understand where you are in a part of the conversation that we were
Absolutely.
talking about.
And know that the tax organizer is not to make the onboarding or to start more stressful than what it needs to be. What it is giving us a picture and letting us know of any tax. If you are a returning client, it's letting us know if you had any tax changes to your status or anything during the prior year. It's also allowing us to be able to have the most updated information for you as it concerns your tax filings and maybe your status. It may also be some other information that we need to know. You may have more dependents. You may have some things that change. You may have a new business. You may have ended one business, started another. You may have honestly had some other things going on within the year that we need to know about and that we need to be able to be clear on. And not only that, with technology, we're definitely a forward moving firm, so we definitely have the pipeline, which we use as far as our tax organizer, which not only that, after you finish asking those questions, guess what? We are able to be very clients to be able to actually have a summary list at the end that actually provides them with the forms they need, just in case that you're thinking, oh, I didn't even think about that form, about what I did. And you may have answered the question that actually triggers you to have a list of the forms that you need. Not only that, we actually take the time to make sure if you are a new client, we take the time to look through your prior year tax returns and compare to the information you're actually providing us, with us possibly being the first year you're actually working with us, to make sure we are receiving everything you have, because we're able to look back through and see what type of things you have reported on your prior year return. So that's what we do in our review, as what our tax professionals do, and making sure that we're covering all bases if possible. And just also know that is very important. It's very important throughout that. It's very important as far as meeting deadlines. And we know that we are coming up on those deadlines too. I will actually have to put out there as far as the business returns, when we're talking about our S Corps and our partnership returns. We're coming up on the deadline, which is March the 15th. And then we have our individual tax deadlines that's coming up on April 15th. So we're definitely at a prime time right now. If you're trying to file by that deadline, to keep in mind, whether you're working with us or anyone else, to give your tax professionals time to review your information and for you to get that information in. And if you're having any problems, I would have to say too, do know that you can file an extension. If you don't have everything, do know that you can file an extension for your business returns. That extension will allow you to September 15th to be able to file. If you are filing individual need an extension, it gives you to October. It doesn't mean that you have to wait until those particular dates, but let's just say some information that you're waiting on. You want to make sure that you have to report something just to get something in and something. If something comes up, always know you can always amend your returns. You can always amend your returns. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But we want to make sure, and you want to make sure that we're off the gate, that we are definitely have all the information, we're able to file it, and then you're able to go on about your way. I will also add, Kory, unless you have something to say on that right there.